So it's really been triggered by European competition rules starting in 2014, if we go back that far. And it's really focused the attention of the industry on cost reduction in a huge way. And in a sense, it's helped the industry to focus its attention on basically getting the power, the reliable, clean and competitive power that society asks for. And the industry has more than stepped up to the task. Last year, we coordinated a statement from 11 leading companies and offshore saying that they committed to cutting the cost to 80 euros per megawatt hour, including grid connection by 2025. They're actually well ahead of targets. Yeah, so it's been a really remarkable transition, and we expect this trend to continue. Offshore wind is, the costs have fallen 60% in the last 3 years. And it's not very far behind onshore wind now as one of the cheapest options for power generation. Yeah, so when you look at auction design, you really need to look at the overall set of policy, and in particular, the importance of giving visibility to investors as to what is coming. So there's a new provision in the Renewable Energy Directive, which will apply from 2020 onwards, requiring member states to give 5 years of visibility on the auction schedule, the volumes and the budgets that go into that. So that's something extremely positive. The Netherlands have done this very well with giving developers the visibility of having 700 megawatts per year, and that's really enabled the industry to cut costs. Another very important element is how to de-risk the investments, for example, by covering the grid connection costs, having the TSO covering that. And finally, what's extremely important is giving also visibility on the revenue stream. So support mechanisms like contracts for difference that basically secure the revenue for a limited period of time, enable to keep the costs low. So these would be some of the key features of auction design. Yeah, so the market design, we're looking at the electricity market design rules more generally. I think really the intention for European legislation is to move towards a market that's better adjusted to high shares of variable renewables, which is extremely important to the development of the sector. In this context, one of the things, and these are things that are being discussed as we speak, is that we make sure that when there's curtailment of renewables, wind is curtailed last, that there's a transparency on curtailment and redispatch, and also transparency on must-run obligations for conventional power plants. So that's one thing. And then there needs to be much more regional cooperation on system management. So getting transmission system operators to cooperate on sizing balancing reserves, for example, making sure that the interconnectors, the physical interconnectors that we have are used properly, and there's some discussion as to what the level of availability of these interconnectors need to be. And finally, there's a big discussion around how do we tackle the overcapacity of inflexible generation and polluting generation. So how do we make sure that the coal assets which are inflexible, which are basically keeping us off track of our decarbonization objectives, are dealt with? And that relates to the discussion on capacity remuneration mechanisms.